Today we're flying a mission in the quickest member of the museum fleet.
So fast.
Yeah, it's fun.
The main reason I chose this paint scheme for the RB-14 was so that when it was a support plane at events for the museum, it was easily recognizable as an honorary member of the Yellowbirds. I'd flown Emily out with a bunch of supplies to run the ride sales booth, and while I was here,
Do I wear a helmet or? I might as well so I don't look unsafe.
I got the opportunity to face one of my biggest fears, which apparently a lot of pilots share.
Ladders and balconies are two things that just bother me. This is both, ladder and balcony. It's kind of like my nightmare combination here.
Whenever the Yellowbirds need to go somewhere for the museum, it's always a challenge to figure out how to fit the crew and our supplies into the fleet. This is where the RB-14 comes into play. It's a really fast IFR platform, cross-country machine. It's also got a fairly good amount of baggage space. Now, I don't always fly it wearing my flight suit, but I'm super proud to be a part of this crew, and I'm wearing it today.
All right, you ready to go?
Ready to go.
We're the second aircraft of the fleet to launch for this trip. It's always a good time to file an IFR flight plan with ForeFlight, and then get the expected route received notification while doing the walk around.
Space alive, pressure temperature looks good.
Riding with me is Emily. She's a longtime Canadian Aviation Museum crew member. She's Dave's wife, and I'm going to take it as a compliment that she chose to fly with me instead of ride with him in the Harvard for almost twice as long.
Charlie Golf Alpha, traffic, you're on trail of, headed to the same destination. You have about a 50-knot overtake. Can you accept 7,000 as a final?
That's JR, who'd managed to sneak out ahead of me in the slower PA-28. We're the only two IFR-capable aircraft in the fleet. We're both fairly new instrument pilots, and we use events like this as an excuse to file and practice flying operational IFR. Even for a quick trip like this, it's really good to practice. But in this case, because we're flying to such a busy event and it's not a controlled airport, you're going to find as soon as we switch over to the mandatory frequency, it's pretty crazy. So it was almost kind of peaceful to be in the IFR system up high above the VFR traffic for the bulk of this route, because it's about to get crazy when we switch over to that frequency and do the arrival. We're headed to the Chris Hadfield Airport in Sarnia, which after losing its mainstay airline is at risk of being closed. Event organizers Bruce and Mark are rallying support at SOAR, aka the Save Our Airport Rally.
We're trying to save the airport, just make the city of Sarnia aware of what's out at the airport. We're trying to get the city to make up their mind what they're going to do with the airport. And we just want everybody to know that it's just not for airlines. There's also general aviation.
We have a lot of business that stops here coming over the border into Sarnia because of the chemical valley that we have. Even the small GA planes, they bring corporate business. A president, a CEO comes to Sarnia to deal with business in Sarnia, and he comes here because he can fly here.
We just want everybody to be aware of what's going on.
As soon as we pass him, I'm going to ask to go down because we're so close, and we're going to be screaming on the way down.
Apologies for the distorted audio on this one. I had a problem with the intercom, but we're not going to spend a lot of time listening. I really just wanted to share how smoothly this flight went and how cool it was to manage all this automation, even on such a short leg.
That's why I try to keep all this stuff programmed way ahead of myself so that I don't have to work too hard. Like this thing tells me my top of descent, so I know if she doesn't give it to me by then, it's going to be hard to get down. But I think she's going to be on it, so as long as she gives it to us roughly around that, TOD.
The fire department was here to keep everyone safe, but also to show off their new rig.
My name's Jason Bosker. I'm a firefighter here with Sarnia Fire and Rescue. I've been a firefighter here in Sarnia for 18 years. I grew up here in Sarnia. I went out west, fooled around with the Army for a while, got married, came back here, and got hired on to my hometown fire department, so a little bit of a dream of mine.
I'm always honored when I get a chance to work with military and first responders, and in this case, I was not going to turn down the opportunity to try to face my fear of heights.
All our trucks are a four-man crew. So this crew, Russ is the officer. I'm the driver operator. He's in charge of this crew. I'm in charge of the truck. The two guys that sit in the back, Trace and Chris, Russ is running the show. I'm usually standing right here by the pump operator panel. That's where I direct where the water comes in and goes out, and we'll have the guys up in the bucket. Water comes in, and then everything else is water comes out. So we've got 3 lines here with hoses ready to go. Those are my small ones, and then I can put other hoses up to here, and these big ones here are how I direct the water up the pipe. I'm putting out 8,033 liters per minute. Wow. Put a lot of water through. And again, this sits down in the chemical valley most of the time, and that's what it's there for, big water on big fire.
I'm going up because, of course, I'm going up.
The quality of the camera work is about to significantly decline because I'm essentially in lizard brain mode here, but I'm thankful to have firefighter Trace to support me through it.
So this we have, if you'll notice, just right over here, these 2 things here, we have nozzles, right? Okay. So we actually operate those from right here. Shoots straight into the fire. We can control it, put it into a fog pattern, or you can put it into a straight stream. As well, you notice we have those doors, the ones that you came into, we can edge right up against the window, and that's why you kind of have these flat, squared off edges. You can edge right up against the window and open it in, and we can take victims and other evacuees into the bucket. A lot more comfortable than a ladder, right? Just sitting at the end of a ladder, you're actually in the bucket. We can do way, way more with it.
Yeah, I don't know if comfortable is a word I would use to describe any of this, and as we got higher, my camera work declined in proportion to the altitude, and I screwed up the exposure.
The farther we go up, the more it starts to react to our movements, right? Yeah. So where you get to the top and it's just bouncing constantly. The focus for this vehicle would be industrial, right? We have a lot of tanks, industry, lots of plants here in Sarnia, petrochemicals. We also can use it in a high-rise situation, but this is our primary response vehicle for industrial fires and industrial emergencies.
Well, Jason cranked us up to maximum altitude. The camera work got basically unusable, so let's get back on board the RV-14 for the descent.
Hey, it's Oak Ridge for Foxtrot Charlie Golf Alpha. I think I'm about by that traffic. Am I okay to start down?
Charlie Foxtrot Charlie Golf Alpha, you can expect lower with Toronto Center and contact them on 134.37.
13437 Charlie Golf Alpha. And Toronto, it's Foxtrot Charlie Golf Alpha, level 7,000, looking for the descent. Foxtrot Charlie Golf Alpha, Toronto Terminal, thanks. You identified the altimeter at Sarnia 3018, descent 4,000. Descent 4,000, Charlie Golf Alpha. Charlie Golf Alpha, roger. And they do have the 1200 Sarnia weather if you'd like it. Sure, go ahead. Roger, 12 Zulu Sarnia weather from the auto station, wind 120 at 3. It's 9 miles, broken at 200, broken above that. Temperature 14, dew point 12, altimeter 3018. Thank you, Charlie Golf Alpha. Charlie Golf Alpha, roger. What are your intentions for the approach into Sarnia? I'll cancel. I can cancel now, honestly. Airport in sight. Charlie Golf Alpha, check canceling IFR 1252. Did you want to close the alerting as well, or do you want to do that on the ground on this frequency? I can do it with you now. I got the airport in sight. For Charlie Golf Alpha, can cancel IFR and alerting. Charlie Golf Alpha, thank you. Check canceling IFR and alerting 1253 now. Flight plan is closed. There's no need to call me down and clear. I'm sure you're there for the fly-in. There's a pile of guys going in there. Probably best to be over to mandatory. You can do that now. Surveillance service terminates. Have yourself a great day. Okay, terminating, and that's 1230, I think. Great. Paper. Okay, heading over to their frequency, and I'll keep my code. Is that correct for Charlie Golf Alpha? Yeah, you can hang on to the code, no problem at all. Charlie Golf Alpha.
And they flight us through ahead.
Oh boy.
5 November.
Oh my God.
And that right there is a great example of why sometimes IFR is easier than VFR. But anyways, let's get back on board the ladder truck, and then we'll fly the controlled chaotic VFR arrival.
It's open mic for you guys up there, so if you say anything bad about me, I'm gonna hear it.
Yeah, Oscar's a great guy. Actually a long-time subscriber. He was a little bit starstruck when he found out you were here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
A couple of years ago when the pandemic hit, we were out of the country when it all happened very early on in the pandemic, and we had to quarantine for 14 days, and I was bored, and I was looking on YouTube, and I found this guy from southwestern Ontario named Steve Thorne who called himself FlightChops, and I spent that 14-day quarantine watching every single one of his videos.
That's awesome.
And going, you know what, maybe it's not too late. So I am taking my my flying lessons here at the Sarnia Airport with Canadian Aviation. It's never too late to start.
And that right there is super rewarding to hear. It's essentially why I started FlightChops. So Jason, thank you so much for supporting. It's usually me sending supporters things, so when this helmet showed up in the mail, I was totally honored. So thanks, Jason. This is probably one of the coolest things I've got in my studio.
This is one of the unique things I get to do as FlightChops. I love meeting all you guys that do these cool jobs.
I was just about getting comfortable, and then Trace broke it to me that we were nowhere near the top.
We can do 90.
Oh my God.
We can do 90 straight up.
So let's do it. Leave a comment below if you would or wouldn't do this.
So honestly, as a pilot, I gotta be honest, I'm afraid of heights in the context like balcony edges and ladders, and this is literally a balcony edge ladder.
Yeah.
This is like kind of my worst nightmare.
But that's what it's all about, pushing through. We gotta push through those.
Like I can't do, okay.
Don't worry, it's not like a ton of your fans.
Hey man, I'm good, I'm good. It's literally a combination of my nightmares. I don't know what it is about, I know a lot of pilot friends that are afraid of heights.
Yep.
Short final here.
Alright guys, that's it. I can bring you down.
Oh my God, I can't even see him. Oh, that's gross, he's straight down there.
Coming down quick.
Yeah, it's a quick descent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost pop your ears. Whew. I know I can logically fight through it, but
yeah,
there's something about it. Like I couldn't do it as a job.
Oh no, 100%. And you know what? It's like it's me with confined space. Like as a firefighter, I will 100% admit I hate confined space. But like you
gotta
said,
deal with that sometimes.
You got to push through it, right?
Especially in your suits, you got to climb through stuff and break through God knows what structure, integrity.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I focus on it. I try to train on a lot. So like when it comes time and I actually have to do it, that I'll be a little bit more comfortable with it. But yeah, I imagine it's the same with heights for you, right? Like
yeah, well,
you just got to tell yourself it sucks and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I was glad to be back on the ground, and it took me a few minutes to get over kind of the adrenaline that I was feeling.
Well, thanks for that. That was awesome.
And another thing I was trying to get done today was to meet Chris Hadfield, but this lineup did not stop all day, so there was no chance of that happening. Emily, however, had made time to go early to meet Chris and to have him sign this very well-loved copy of The Darkest Dark. This is her nephew River's favorite book. He's non-verbal autistic, and every time she visits, he brings her this book to read to him.
But his parents meant it. Chris was going to sleep in his own bed tonight.
Sarnia traffic, this is Cherokee 180, Foxtrot Charlie, Mike Tango, 8 miles south of the field, 3,500 for 2,000, and we'll join the left downwind for 3-3, Sarnia radio.
Fox 80 Mike Oscar is following in behind Bravo Whiskey Zulu for the mid-left downwind for 3-3. You secure?
I'm good.
Okay, there's 2 on the downwind there. Advise when you're 1 mile on final. Charlie Golf Alpha, check you're one of them. Watch for other traffic on the downwind. Advise when you're 1 mile on final for runway 33.
Okay, I got no traffic in front of me on the downwind for Charlie Golf Alpha. We'll revise the 1 mile final 33.
On the Unicom, it's Golf X-Ray Whiskey to Baron.
I'm going to just do a little looky.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah, I got nothing below me.
Okay, Baron, are you ready for a expedited takeoff?
Good.
Affirmative.
Sorry, traffic Zulu Yankee Alpha is 2 miles to the east at 2300, descending to circuit elevation. Sorry, traffic, Charlie Golf Alpha, 1 mile final, 33, full stop. I got nobody out there?
I don't see anything my way.
Charlie Mike Tango over the solar farm at 2,200.
Birds going low.
Normally I would not advise going below birds.
Birds.
But in this case they scattered and I knew I'd clear them fine if I just pitched down a little bit. So I made the approach a little more shallow, but I wasn't like dragging it in with power, so I was fine with that.
That's fine, yes. Unicom, Golf X-Ray Whiskey, we're going to take position, hold 3-3.
Welcome to Sarnia. I feel like I know you. I've watched you up on the thing. Thanks for coming to help us make a case.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
So thanks to Bruce and Mark, and this event will be happening again next year. Here are the details. This information will also be in the description, and I hope to see you there.
This airport's important to keeping aviation going. If you look at the age of the two of us, yourself included, Steve.
I'm getting there.
If we don't get younger people interested in flying, this is going to be the end of the road for us. We'd love to have an airline, absolutely, absolutely. But barring it, let's keep this thing going, because there's a lot of business that travels through here that didn't ride in on an airline. We just want to show them that, look, there's a lot of possibility here that goes down the road if we don't have an airport.
Once the airport's gone, it'll be gone. There'll be no more property to buy back.
And thanks to Trace and Jason for getting me up in the ladder truck. That was definitely something I won't forget anytime soon.
Yeah, I need the helmet back though.
Oh yeah.
And I love that Jason ended up giving me one of the retired versions of his helmet. And Emily, thanks for joining and dealing with my IFR nerdiness. Commander Hadfield, we'll definitely chat next time. Thanks for all you do for aviation and for how much work you put into keeping the younger generation engaged in flying. And until next time, keep your flight chops sharp.
I can't do Christmas lights anymore. I just don't do it. If someone else wants to do it for me, it's like, cool. I just don't like climbing ladders and being on the edge of the house.